Republicans have put a counteroffer on the table in Fiscal-Cliff talks, which the president dismissed immediately. Good morning and welcome to the News Hub. I'm Rolf Winkler. Republicans propose $800 billion in tax revenue increases, though no increase in tax rates, along with cuts to Medicare and the growth of Social Security. Meanwhile, the White House wants twice as much tax revenue, an increase in rates, and smaller cuts to entitlements. Joining us to sort through all this mess is Wells Fargo economist Tim Quinlan. Mr. Quinlan, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, pleased to be here.
We mentioned here at the end of our graphic here, of course, time is running out to solve this. We're all focused on January 1st,
right.
But in fact, Congress is going to go away for the holidays, so you'd want to get it out December 21st. But even before that, you'd need to propose it because you've got House Republicans have to see the legislation first.
Right.
So basically, okay, first question, let's get to it, is are we overplaying this? Is this as bad as folks in the media are playing it?
So our group, as many other folks have done, have sort of taken a look at the potential impact of the fiscal cliff and said, all right, what would this ultimately mean for the economy? And it's bad, right? I mean, okay. By just about everybody's reckoning, it sends us back into recession. Not a recession nearly of the magnitude that we experienced a few years ago, but when you're talking about consensus forecast for economic growth in a good condition, being 2% GDP growth, it really doesn't take all that much to send us back into recession.
First of all, can the long-term deficit really be closed with basically the proposals that are on the table?
Not in any kind of a near-term solution. So, I mean, it's been since 2001 or so since we've actually had a balanced budget. We were okay with running at least modest budget deficits in the order of a couple $100 billion or so through most of the Bush administration. And then obviously in the wake of the recession and increased government spending, we're huge now. So CBO has looked at this and said, what would it take to close the gap? And even they've got a baseline scenario, they've got a couple of different scenarios, and none of them do we close it very quickly. I think that both sides are agreed that we've got to get there, but it's you're talking a 10 or 15-year problem, even in a best-case scenario.
Now, we're talking a little bit about a two-track process here, it sounds like. So something temporary and then something longer term.
Right.
What would be the business community's reaction to something that effectively kicks the can down the road?
Yeah, it's interesting because we looked at just the impact it would have on business spending, okay? And let me first be clear. I don't want to get in trouble with anybody by saying the wrong thing.
Go ahead. Get in trouble. Get in trouble. That's good.
Recession's bad. But in terms of its impact on business spending, it's not a huge difference between a kick the can down the road sort of solution. In other words, if Congress comes to some kind of a short-term continuing resolution that says, we'll figure this out again in another 18 months, we're going to be right back where we were in the summer of 2011. Businesses are going to feel a lot of uncertainty. We've had a lot of anecdotal evidence of businesses saying that it is uncertainty that is holding back orders and production in recent months. So our sense would be that the difference between a short-term resolution and just completely going over the fiscal cliff, in terms of business spending, not going to make all that much difference.
What is some evidence? So, people throw around this term uncertainty all the time,
Sure.
And it strikes me as just kind of, when have we ever had certainty?
Right.
I mean, tell me a time when a CEO has said, I know exactly what the future holds. So let's unpack this a little bit.
Okay.
How is this uncertainty, particularly in this context, actually impacting business spending?
Okay, so one of the best ways that we have as economists to measure business sentiment are the various PMIs. Of course, we had the ISM yesterday.
Purchasing Managers Indexes.
Absolutely.
Indices.
We had the biggest one, the ISM headline index yesterday, showing that the economy is sort of probably moving toward, or at least the business sector moving toward a slightly slower pace of growth or even contraction. The regional banks have their own PMIs, Purchasing Managers Indices, and they ask a bunch of different questions. The Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia put in a few supplementary questions to precisely get at what you're talking about. And they said, if indeed business has slowed, what are the factors that are impacting it? And they identified either uncertainty about the economic outlook, uncertainty about fiscal policy, meaning what is Congress going to do, and that is what sort of gives us a little bit more conviction around the view that indeed it is this uncertainty about fiscal policy.
Are there particular projects or capital expenditures that you've seen that aren't being made as a result?
You know, we don't get into that level of granularity within individual company decision making, but I can tell you that, you know, in my business, what I do, I end up on the road a few days a week talking to a lot of businesses, and you know, I don't think that this is necessarily a political comment, but people of both political stripes will say, you know, just give me the ground rules. Give me the framework. Tell me what my tax rate's going to be. Tell me what my share of the healthcare cost is going to be. What is the cost of adding an additional unit of labor? And once I understand that, I can make an informed decision about whether or not I actually do want to expand.
Okay, Tim Quinlan, Wells Fargo economist. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.